Have you ever hit a career milestone, like got that promotion, launched a business, hit that 6 or 7 figure mark, and instead of feeling thrilled, you just feel exhausted? You wonder to yourself, is this it? You've been hustling so hard that actually the joy is gone. If this sounds like you, this episode will change the way you think about ambition. Today, we're talking about soft success, how to achieve your goals without the burnout by leaning into your feminine energy instead of fighting against it. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Secret Formula of Femininity for women who want to live a more feminine, fun, and fabulous life. I'm Dr. Nicole Montero, your host on this weekly journey to unlocking your inner radiance, nurturing fulfilling relationships, and becoming the best version of yourself. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Secret Formula of Femininity. I am your host and guide, Dr. Nicole. You know, I love to start with a good story, and this time I'm going to tell you about someone who was in one of my coaching programs. I'll just call her Maya. She was in her 40s. She was a corporate executive. She was making the money that she had sought out to make. On paper, she was killing it. But she came to me and she was like, Dr. Nicole, I feel like a robot. My team loves me, my boss praises me, but my personal life feels empty. I'm exhausted, I'm resentful, and I don't even feel like myself anymore. She was in pure masculine overdrive. I had to really sit down with her and say, Maya, you are in your masculine overdrive mode. She was planning, pushing, producing 24/7. She had learned to succeed by grinding. And while it worked for her career, it completely disconnected her from her feminine energy. She didn't feel connected to her joy, her creativity, her ability to receive support. So, of course, we helped her out. She got into my coaching program, the Boundaries to Bliss Society, after we worked together on softening her approach and integrating things like intentional rest, leaning on her team instead of micromanaging, and reconnecting to her sensuality and creativity. Not only did she feel alive again, but something magical happened. She got another promotion without burning out. She attracted a partner who adored her softness, and she started feeling joy before the achievement instead of chasing that feeling and then feeling disappointment when it would just all disappear. That is the power of soft success. But first, let's talk about some of the research and why this is so important for us as women. There's this thing called the myth of hustle. And research actually shows that women in high stress roles are twice as likely to burn out than their male counterparts. And then there's this idea of the strong Black woman, the independent woman, that narrative that we've talked about and we've heard about. And while this can empower some women for some period of time when they need to tap into their resilience, it can condition us to overfunction. What it does in the long term is it conditions us to disconnect from our bodies and our emotional needs. And that's a difference between men and women. Men have emotional needs, but we as women really need to be in tune with them, connect with our bodies, and not be in a mode where those things have to be pushed to the side for too long, where we do too much compartmentalizing. Also, it's key to understand that feminine energy is not about doing less. It's actually about receiving more and aligning your effort with flow. So many women have this perception that the more they lean into their feminine energy, that's going to make them lazy. Now, I think there's so much for us to deconstruct about why we call rest laziness. That's wild to me. But I need you to know that feminine energy is really about being in a state of abundance, being able to receive more and being able to align yourself more. Feminine energy is also a business strategy. Ladies, this is a strategic move for you. If we think of masculine and feminine as two ends of the spectrum, masculine energy is structured, logical, it's in that doing state. Feminine energy is in the creative, receptive, intuitive state. Research shows that women who integrate these aspects of their feminine energy experience things like increased creativity and problem solving And this was a study published in the Harvard Business Review. They experience better emotional regulation, which leads to better leadership. It's a better leadership quality and also better relationships. And they experience a natural magnetic presence that draws opportunities instead of feeling like they're the ones chasing the opportunities. And I can tell you for myself, I remember vividly the shift from doing to being, and the shift to attracting rather than chasing or feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm in a state of scarcity. And that's the intangible part of it, right? It's hard to really put on paper what this looks like, but you know what it feels like when you're in that state of presence where you're attracting and not chasing. And for Maya, my client, she actually got promoted by not being burnt out, by not overdoing it. And this is interesting. This is part of our feminine energy, but I observed a lot of the boundaries and refusing to chase in a lot of my male colleagues in academia. It's very interesting. And it is very magical what boundaries will do. People will respect your boundaries if you state them and you assert them. So, overall, from research to personal examples to stories of clients, I can tell you that softness doesn't weaken your ambition, it multiplies it because you're no longer running on fumes. Now, there's a few practical shifts that you need to be able to step into soft success. This is important because so many people have been trained. Women have come through school and higher education and corporate and business and workplaces. And slowly, I have seen so many women just be in the logical, structured doing state that they have lost touch with their feminine energy. So it's important to really step back and figure out what are the things I need to do to make that shift. One of those steps is what we call the sacred pause. This is where you actually schedule non productive time. I love this time of day for myself. A sacred pause is really 20 to 30 minutes for things that you do for pleasure: journaling, walking, musing, listening to music, daydreaming, cooking, but not because you're like trying to hurry up, but because you enjoy it. 20 to 30 minutes is the minimum. Okay. And I don't want to hear, I don't have time for it. You have to make time because this is going to increase your energy, your clarity, your ability to really think and dream in the way that you want to. The second thing is allowing yourself to receive support. And that is learning to delegate, whether you're in the workplace or it's in your home. Soft success does not mean solo success. We're so used to doing it solo. You need to delegate, you need to garner help, and you need to pay for help if you need to, but you need to let the people around you know that you can't do it alone. You need that help. The third thing is learning to align your goals with your desires. So many times we get caught up in the hustle that we forget to tap into what why we started whatever it is that we're doing in the first place. You have to ask yourself, does this feel expansive or does it feel depleting? If it's helping to expand me, I'm finding joy, I'm feeling creative, I'm in touch with my intuitive side, then it is expanding you. But if you feel exhausted, and you just are not looking forward to it, you're dreading it, it is depleting you. And so before you say yes to something, you have to really tap in and connect with yourself and ask, is this going to expand me or is this going to deplete me? And finally, you have to learn to celebrate the moment. We are so caught up sometimes in these big goals, the destination, we lose sight of the joy of the journey. If you read into any tradition, any philosophical tradition, any religious tradition, we learn the importance of being present for the journey. So when you celebrate the moment, you don't wait for the big milestones. You experience the joy now, the joy and privilege of being alive and being able to focus on something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy. You know, I saw a really good post on one of the social media platforms that said, like, wow, what a joy it is to have the privilege to have created or be working on creating the life that you love, to be tired from the thing that you have been dreaming of all this time. That tiredness is just a signal to you that you need to shift, that you need to rest, and find other ways to pour into yourself. But it is certainly a privilege to be able to build the life that you enjoy. So see it as a celebration, just being able to think about these things, focus on these things, and have the passion and ambition that you have. That is cause enough to celebrate right there. So it's the sacred pause, receiving support, aligning your goals with your desires, and being able to celebrate the moment. That is key. Soft success is not about abandoning ambition, it's learning to thrive in it without losing yourself and still connecting to yourself. I have literally seen so many women change their lives with this mindset. They've changed their careers, their personal lives, their health and well being. Let's not even get on the fact that all of this burnout, being in masculine overdrive, exhausting yourself, it disrupts your hormones. It increases the cortisol in your system. It often leads you to unhealthy behaviors, emotional eating, not working out, staying up late, not getting rest, right? So, this can completely change your life when you lean into the feminine energy of soft success. I had one client who softened her communication. Now, you know, I like to talk about communication within your relationship, but these principles apply to all types of settings. And so, one client was able to soften her communication at work. She learned to stop over explaining in meetings, stop trying to prove herself, and she suddenly got tapped for a leadership role that was perfect for what she wanted to do and for her style and her personality. Because what she shifted to was from a proving, let me explain and let me do the most mode to exuding a quiet, steady, grounded confidence. And I tell you, that is noticeable. I remember when I was younger, I didn't know this was a quality that I necessarily had, but as I went through school, I would get comments like, "You're so confident, you're so," but in a quiet way. You're very, it's easy to be around you. You feel very calm and, grounded, calm, safe to be around. Those were things that I heard a lot. And I think that conveys a level of confidence in yourself that people are attracted to. I had another woman who was in the Boundaries to Bliss program, and she shifted her business model to allow more creative play. She delegated out all of the the funnels and all the stuff that where she was doing all of these administrative tasks that were really draining her, and she got more into the creative, interactive part of her business. And she ended up doubling her revenue while working fewer hours. She was less drained, and she literally woke up excited to engage in the work that she was doing with her clients. One of my podcast listeners actually wrote in and she said, "I stopped grinding to prove myself. And 2 months later, I met the most amazing man because I wasn't radiating exhaustion anymore." Really, what she's saying is she got out of struggle mode. She got off the struggle bus, and therefore she attracted a different type of man, a man who really wanted her to be soft, respected that, wanted to nurture that in her. He respected her ambition, but he also loved that she was so in touch with her softer side. And I can tell you, any man who wants to protect you and provide that level of emotional support, who values your vulnerability, they are going to want you to rest. They're not going to want you to be exhausted. They're not going to want you to be depleted. They know for your well being and for the joy you're going to bring into the relationship, you need to be in a state of where your nervous system is calm, where you're not exhausted. And again, no man, no truly masculine man wants to be with someone who's too much in their masculine energy. That feminine energy, that feminine flow, that softness, that ability to calm and regulate yourself, those are things that they value in you as a woman. Soft success doesn't get you to the goal, it gets you the life that feels good to live. It's not about chasing an end result, it's about being in a space where the journey feels good to you as well. All right, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. This is where I get to answer your questions. And as always, you can DM me on Instagram, you can send me an email. Everything is in the show notes. So I have some great questions today. The first question is, Dr. Nicole, does soft success mean I stop working hard? This is very interesting to me because I think there's a lot of concepts around the idea that we always have to be working hard. But just to answer this concisely, I would say it's about working more strategically versus putting in more effort that exhausts you. It's about being more joyful, more aligned, and learning to stop chasing things that drain you and focus on what's magnetic and purposeful. Therefore, your energy, the hard work that you're putting in, is going to feel like it has more of a purpose. It's not just spinning your wheels and draining your energy. Okay. Question number two is, how do I know I'm in masculine overdrive? Yes, because I have women come to me and it's like years later and they're like, I did not realize all of this time I was in masculine overdrive. If you feel constant tension, irritability, and loneliness, even with all of the success that you've been building, you're probably pushing instead of receiving. It's where you're cut off from yourself and it's not allowing you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So that means you're more in a masculine doing overdrive mode. The third question is, what if my career is in a male dominated industry? Great question. Then that means this work of connecting to your feminine energy is even more powerful and essential. Embodying feminine energy doesn't mean being passive or that you're not excellent at what you do. It means that you're now able to bring your whole self, your intuition, your emotional intelligence. You're bringing all of that to the table now. And it actually gives you more of a competitive edge in that workplace because you're more at ease and you have a more holistic approach. So, this work is even more essential if you're in what you consider to be a male dominated industry. All right, sis. So here's what I want you to remember: softness is not a weakness. I ask you almost every episode to repeat that with me. Softness is not a weakness. Your feminine energy is actually your superpower, and it's what allows you to achieve without losing your joy. We achievement for the sake of just working hard, spinning your wheels, exhausting yourself just to say you achieved, that's not the goal anymore. That's empty, it's exhausting, and it's another sign that you're in masculine overdrive. If this episode and this idea of soft success spoke to you, I want you to do a few things for me. One is go to the show notes and grab my book, The Boundaries to Bliss Blueprint, and learn how to reclaim your feminine energy and set the boundaries that protect your peace. And learn how to reclaim your feminine energy and set those boundaries that protect your peace. Or if you're looking for a community and to dive even deeper, you want to join my inner circle, the Boundaries to Bliss Society, where high achieving women like you are redefining success without burnout. All of the links are in the show notes. And if you love this episode, the final thing I want you to do for me is share it with a friend who needs this reminder, a friend who you know is in masculine overdrive, who needs to exercise that sacred pause and reconnect with herself. I want to thank you so much for joining me again for another episode. And remember, you do not have to grind in order to shine. I'm Dr. Nicole.